Program tonight, Congresswoman Lauren Boebert from Colorado. Congresswoman, how are you?
Thanks so much for having me. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
I got to tell you, listening to you, Jim Jordan, Matt Gaetz from Florida, wow, some fiery speeches there. I was a little distraught and disappointed that 10 Republicans actually broke rank and went along with this political theater when we know that's all it is, because nothing will happen. The Senate will not meet. They will not vote on this. President-elect Joe Biden will be inaugurated next Wednesday. So the only reason Democrats had to do this is to tarnish the president's name and to try to, I don't know, put doubt in the American people in case he ever tries to run again, because it's not going to go any further, right?
Right, exactly. You know, this is where it stops, and we need right now more than ever to be working for American families. American families are suffering right now. Small business owners who have been put out of business, who may never reopen their doors again, and instead we are going through this sham impeachment. It's completely rushed. There's been no committee hearings on this matter. We each had 1 hour of floor debate time on impeaching the president of the United States after he is leaving in just 7 days. He said that there will be a peaceful transition of power, but that's not enough for the Democrats. They need President Donald Trump because their hate for him unifies their party. They need him. They need to fundraise off of him. They need him to energize their base and keep this momentum going, because this is all that they have going for them. They're not working for the American people. They're not promoting freedom and prosperity or free markets or capitalism. They're promoting socialism and hate of a man. And unfortunately, their disdain for President Trump doesn't even end with him. They're after his supporters as well. That's why we're seeing threats of his rallies being deemed domestic terrorist events. And you know, that's going to trickle down to the people who attend them. And then they're going to be labeled as domestic terrorists. This is absolutely vile and disgusting. I have seen how obsessed the Democrats are with conspiracy theories, and every conversation that they have is laced in conspiracies. They read a tweet and they come up with wild and crazy stories to put someone else down, and they think that it elevates them. But that's not how you build yourself up. You don't build yourself up by putting someone else down. That's not the American way.
Well, Congresswoman, I'll tell you, what I just can't stand is the hypocrisy. I watch what Speaker Pelosi says, what AOC and her squad have said. I hate to say it, but I obviously, for research, I tune into the other networks, CNN, MSNBC, the rest of all the alphabet garbage soup, and I see what they spew. For 4 years, 4 long years, they have done nothing but attack this president, his family, and his supporters. They have made threats. They have incited violence. Yes. If anybody's incited violence, it's been the left. And if you want to talk about what happened last Wednesday, and again, I will, this network will, I'm sure you do as well, Congresswoman. We condemn, like the president did today, like the president did last week, condemn the violence by those fringe, I believe, left and right-wing fringe groups that attacked our House, because it's ours. No offense to elected leaders. It's ours, we the people. This has been brewing for a long time. This wasn't anything the president said, but by the way, his speech was not insightful, I don't believe. But this has been brewing. This is millions of Americans, I'm sorry, pissed off at their elected leaders and their government. And that's what happened last week, in my feeling. Now, you were there, so you obviously know a heck of a lot more than we do. We don't have to go back into all the events, but if you could just briefly kind of give us your take on what you not only saw, but what you've heard now in briefings. We had on Congressman Issa last night, and he gave us some pretty new, insightful information about what you guys have been briefed on actually what went down that day.
Yes. So first of all, I have rose many times now to oppose and denounce the recent violence that we saw in the Capitol. That was absolutely terrible. It was disgusting. And I don't care what these people claim that they are. They're not conservatives. These are not conservative values. We don't break into buildings, and we don't terrorize. We don't burn buildings down. We don't kill people. That's not conservative values. But certainly, I believe our Capitol Hill police officers needed extra reinforcement. They asked the mayor of D.C. for extra reinforcement, and she publicly denied their request and said that she was going to make it clear that no extra reinforcements would be sent in. Of course, they were sent in after the Capitol was breached and after there was already an incident. But Capitol Hill police officers, they're smart. They understand that if something were to go awry that day, that they would not have the ability to stop what was happening. So they asked for that help and they were denied.
Yeah, what about the chief? I'm sorry to interrupt. What about the chief who resigned now of your Capitol Police, who said, I asked 6 times since the previous Sunday before the violence broke out for assistance, and the Pentagon never got back to him and gave him any assistance. So there's a lot of blame here that we need to find out and who we point the finger at, because they asked for help. They didn't get it from D.C., the mayor, who we know is a Democrat. They didn't get it from the Pentagon and Department of Defense. They were left there. And that's why, so when a lot of folks out there are posting these videos saying cops helped them, they were sympathizers, whatever, which was the narrative the first couple of days from the left. No, they were overrun and they were ordered to pull back for safety reasons, to try and pull back to the main perimeter inside the house to save and keep you guys safe because they were being overrun. That's what happened. But everybody jumped to judgment. 2 more things I got to touch on with you. We saw a bunch of scuttlebutt online. We know you like to pack. So do I. It's our Second Amendment right. They're not letting you, or they're trying to stop you, I heard.
So they have now put magnetometers outside of the doors to the House chambers. So it's always been a rule that you are not allowed to carry a firearm on the House floor, no matter what kind of permit you have, if it's concealed or however you're carrying it, even if it's in a transportation compartment. And so I have always followed these rules, which January 6th, it left me a little frustrated. I felt cheated that the one time I may need my firearm in a real situation while we have protesters shaking the doors of the House chambers, I'm disarmed, not unarmed, disarmed, because I'm not allowed to have my firearm in there. And so now leadership has put metal detectors outside of the House chambers, so members have to be screened before entering into the chambers to vote. Now, the Constitution says that you're not allowed to stop a member from voting. So some colleagues and myself, we refuse to be scanned. I just happened to be the first respectful and defiant member to go through there, and I stood there for about 10 minutes before other members came as well, and we were eventually permitted onto the floor. But this is just a political stunt by Nancy Pelosi.
Well, that's what the left's good at. I guess we better figure out how to get better at political stunts and theater, but we're too real for that. That's why we don't go that route, right? Into that BS. Final question that gave me the wrap here, Congressman. I got to ask you though real quick. Twitter officially banned you, or it's temporary? Tell us what happened and your thoughts.
So I was suspended for 7 days. When I woke up this morning, I had that notification, and the suspension has been lifted. But it's interesting how we see Democrats defending Twitter and big tech, saying that these are private companies and they can do whatever we want. In 2020, us Republicans were defending private companies, private businesses, saying they should be able to do whatever they want. They should be able to open their doors and serve their customers, while Democrats kept these businesses shut down. And suddenly, they are all for the rights of small businesses. Just like we mentioned earlier in this segment, their hypocrisy is on full display for the world to see. And
world leaders have reacted and said they think it's a bunch of BS too. From Germany to Australia, Mexico, you've got leaders everywhere saying the censorship is insane. And until Jack, you know what, over at Twitter takes down the Ayatollah and some of these massive terrorist scumbags pages who actually call for violence, don't talk to me about the president allegedly inciting violence. Colorado Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, thank you so much for your steadfast will. We appreciate you so much. You take care.
Thank you. You too.